Another episode of In Your 20s. And we have Carlos Estrella, one of the best barbers here in Chicago. Legend, for real. We were just like chit-chatting earlier. I have recorded. Yeah, he has a podcast too. Los Cut It, no?
Yeah, man. Los Cut It. It's called In the Cut. You know, just in the cut with Los Cut It. Yeah.
What made you get into the podcasting, though?
I've always been a fan of it, man. Just been a fan of just talking to people, conversating, doing what I do with the press and being all over. I got really comfortable with speaking to people and talking to people and being in front of a camera. And I've always just liked being on top of things. So giving people an opportunity, giving them a platform to talk and share their story is something cool. And I built a cool setup here, so it's just something that I do. This is the one thing that I do that I'm not getting anything for it, because I do it basically because I love it. And if we go back to hair, when I did hair in the very beginning, I just did it because I enjoyed it, and all these great things came from it. So I hope one day, you know, if I just keep doing this, I'm not doing it I'm not chasing brands or deals or sponsorship. I'm just doing it simply because it's my therapy. I get to chop it up with new people. I get to meet people like you guys. And you know, I've proven that concept already. If you do what you love and you work hard, good things are gonna come.
100%. And also speaking to with like the barber stuff, how did that start? How did that come about? At what age?
Oh man, how old are you guys?
I'm 23.
33?
23.
23?
I'm 20.
20?
Yeah.
18? I've been doing hair for 24 years, right?
24 years.
Yeah, I was 12 years old when I first started. And I share this story a lot. So anybody that follows me as far as hair goes, I share it a lot. At 12 years old, long story short, my dad was very old school. You know, I'm Latino, Mexicano, very old school. You know, when I was a kid, it was a thing to have short hair. And now kids nowadays don't want to get short hair. These kids go to shops, they go crying. They don't want to cut their hair off. They want to keep their long hair. So when I was young, it was all about short hair. My dad never wanted to take us to the shop. And at the time, there was no shops the way there is today. You walk out of here, and I guarantee there's a shop within blocks away. Back then, it was like these unisex. It was these like, it was a lady that cuts your dad's hair. And I was just begging him one day to take me to get a haircut because I needed one for picture day, and he just didn't want to. And got into it with him. Ended up going to Walgreens and bought my first pair of clippers, which at the time it was a Conair clipper. Fast forward 24 years later, dude, I work for that corporation, Conair, under Babyliss, and I got my own clipper right next to you. So how ironic is that, right? It's a Los Cut Clippers. Babyliss is the umbrella is for the beauty industry for Conair corporations. So that's how it started, man. I just started because it was a necessity, man. It was an essential. I needed to get a haircut. I ruined my. I mean, I buzzed my. Don't think I had. Don't think I had a fade, man. I just had a buzz. It was chopped up, and to me, I was happy with that because it was. I'd rather have that than to have a fro like my dad did. And, you know, I got that Mexican hair, real long and spiky. So seeing you guys now younger, seeing how it's a thing to have long hair and curls and all that, like it's been my thing to pay attention to what's trending and what's not, and that's what's helped me get this far with hair, you know?
So when you started with that, after you got your first pair of trimmers, did you start cutting hair like in your basement for your friends, or? What
happened was I started at 12. I was in 7th grade. It was the summer of 7th grade going on to 8th grade. I remember this. So at 8th grade, I was still learning, dude. But what's crazy is, I don't know if you guys noticed, when I first started doing my hair, what was hot back then was like a number 1 or a 2 on top and just a line, like a bowl all around your head. It was no fade. That was just a thing. And a lot of like Latinos would do that line and just slick their hair back with hair nets. But it was very rare that somebody had a fade. So I practiced all summer from 8th grade to freshman year. And then I remember, you know, freshman year, I would cut my hair every Sunday night. So I'll be fresh from Monday, Tuesday. And then Wednesday morning, I would wake up and cut my hair again. I'll be fresh for Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. And then I'll do it again Sunday night. So one day, a couple months in freshman year, somebody was like, bro, you always got a fade. Like, I never seen you without a haircut. Like, what the hell? Where do you go? Like I said, at the time, it was no such thing as a shop. Like, if there was one shop, everybody knew about it, and that's where everybody would go. And I was like, oh, come out here. And they're like, what? No way. I was like, yeah. And that one person turned into the next person, and then word got around. And throughout my whole high school, from freshman to senior year, I just became that person known as, oh, this guy's a barber. And I worked at my first shop at the 15. I was a sophomore. Illegal as hell. I was working under somebody's license. It was this mini mall in the hood. I was the only Latino there. It was all my brothers, all African American, and that's how I got really good with African American hair. And I started there, and it was cool. It was a dirty ass shop. It's crazy when you think about it now to see how the game's changed. But back then, like, you would walk into the shop to get a haircut, and on the station to your left would be like Chinese food from like 3 days ago. like flies in there. Like it was bogus.
Right.
But I'm not saying we didn't know better. I didn't know anything. I was 15, working at a shop, and that's how I started. And fast forward 20 years after that, here I am. You know, it's crazy.
So like at 15 or 16, when you started over there in that mini market, what were the prices back then? Because I know it's like way crazy. It was way cheaper than now.
It was $12 a haircut, and I would get 30% because the owner of that shop knew, one, I didn't have a license, so she was letting me operate under her license, which was illegal. It worked. It was a disguise. It was cool enough, but if someone looked into it, we would all get in trouble. So she would give me 30% plus tips. So if I was cutting for $12 a haircut, I was probably making like $6, maybe less. Like I was making like $5 plus tips. So I was making like $7 a haircut.
Oh wow!
But at the time, the haircuts were so simple. It was like a 1 on top and a 0 on the side, 2 on top, 0 on. So I was knocking like 17 to 20 some haircuts a day. No problem. Now people want scissor trim, low fade my beard, color, eyebrows. It's so much of a process. It takes you longer. But dude, back then we were doing haircuts in like 10, 15 minutes. And what was crazy is between all the barbers, we would just race each other. Like we did not give, we didn't care about the customer satisfaction. It was just about, let's get this money, next one.
It was a competition.
Yeah, and customers were cool because that was just what it was.
Yeah. Right.
I'm sure at the time there was shops that people were like, I take care of me, I want a good fade, but for the most part, that's what it was. It was just a chop shop. That's what we used to call it, chop shop. But we were good at the time. For what it was, we were good. We were good.
Dude, that's crazy. That's so crazy.
It's crazy, right?
Did you know that you wanted to go to college, or did you not go to college?
Oh, I did college. I dropped out of high school my junior year. From Cicero Town, we were involved in a lot of crazy stuff, and ended up we had to move. And when I moved, I went from Cicero at the time. It was so hood, and moving to the south suburbs, I moved down to Oaklawn.
Okay.
And I used an address in Hickory Hills that allowed me to go to Stagg High School. And I went to Stagg, and that was like the first time I've ever met Arabian people, because the Arabian people in my neighborhood were legit old school Arabian. When I came out to the suburbs, I got to meet Arabians that I thought were Puerto Ricans, because these guys were lined up fresh. They had swag with them, and I was like, "You Puerto Rican?" And they're like, "No, we're Arabi." I was like, "What?" Because all I ever know was Arabians that would live down the street from me. So I went there, and it was just so new, so foreign. I didn't last there 3 months. I got kicked out.
Oh wow!
And I remember the dean telling me like Carlos, I was a junior with freshman credits, and I remember them telling me like, "Yo, you got to take night school. We're not gonna let you back in. So if you don't take night school, by the time you get caught up, you're gonna be 21 and get your diploma."
Damn.
And I was 17, and I was like, "Damn." So I just ended up signing myself up to this boot camp program, bro. That it was 6 months long. I had to go down South Illinois. 6 months, went to boot camp. Graduated with a GD, top 10 in my class. I got a scholarship to any college in Chicago for the first 2 years. And I ended up just going to Moraine Valley. I was just like, let me see what college is up, community college. And went in there 3 months, realized it. But the thing with me, bro, I was never dumb, bro. It was just, school just wasn't for me. And I know you guys probably heard that.
Yeah.
You guys hear it all the time. But school, I just couldn't focus. I was a very creative person, and I learned by watching and by doing. I couldn't learn by reading and studying. Like when I got out of school, that's when school was over for me. It was no homework. I never went home. I never did any homework, and that's part of the reason why I would fail all the time. So when I went to boot camp, I would had rather have done everything I did in boot camp, because it wasn't just a physical aspect of boot camp. It was the mental. We started off with over 3,200 people, kids, 16 to 18 that started. I'm talking about Morenos that were like 6 feet tall, swole, to like your shortest Mexican. And we graduated, after 3,200, we graduated only 370-something people. And
wow.
6 months later, because people quit and, they got kicked out. So I was one of them that made it. And those 6 months is what shaped my life, because I was able to realize, like, damn, I enjoy freedom. Like, I was locked up for 6 months in boot camp, and now I'm free. I can do whatever I want. If I made it through that, then I could do whatever I want out in life. And the smallest things, like driving back the 2 hours and listening to the radio, was a privilege, because in boot camp for 6 months, imagine eating standing up in a chow hall, one hand behind your back. So if you're lefty or you're righty, the opposite hand behind your back, and you're eating, you got 5 minutes to eat. If you look up or look around, you're done. They grab your tray and they throw it out. So it was it was just so strict in there that after 6 months, it just became a lifestyle. It was normal to me. So when I got out, like it was like getting out of prison. I was just like, wow, look at all this freedom. I can do whatever I want. And then I started working at the barber shop, and I worked at a real barber shop. And then that's when everything started taking off. And I started like put my discipline into my work ethic, and from there it just took off.
What did your parents think when you signed yourself up to boot camp?
My mom started crying because this was a boot camp that it was either you were court ordered to go or parents were sending their kids because their kids were just misbehaving. And I was the only, I don't know who else, but I was one of the very few people that signed themselves up.
Jeez.
And I remember telling my mom, I was like, well, I'm not gonna go to night school. Like, hell no. And the thing that did it for me was like, if I graduated 6 months early than my high school class would have. So I got my GED 6 months before my class, 2005, would have got their diploma. So I was ahead of the game 6 months.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. So that was like, that's how it was like my shortcut.
Okay.
But I just had to go through all this crazy shit to do it.
Right.
You know, that's how it happened.
Did you know what you want to major in or no?
Hell no. Dude. Let me tell you like this. Like I started cutting hair at 12, right?
Yeah.
I went to boot camp at 18. 17, I turned myself in July 10th. That's when we went to Rantoul, Illinois. It's like 2 hours south of Illinois. In a big ass bus. Straight like boot camp, like straight military boot camp. July 10th. My birthday was July 23rd.
Okay.
So I spent my 18th birthday in boot camp. I remember that morning getting smoked, meaning like they worked us out so bad. Our lights out was at 7 p.m. So 7 p.m. on a hot summer July is what? Birds are still chirping, the sun is still out. So I'm in my bunk bed on my birthday, and I remember shedding tears. I was crying. I was like, fuck, dude, I still got 7 more, no, it was July to December. So I was like, I still got 6 more months to go and wanting to quit. But what held me and why I didn't quit was the thought of making my parents drive. Because if you quit or got kicked out, your parents had to drive those 2 hours to pick you up and then 2 hours back. So imagine that ride home, sitting in the back, and you just feel like ashamed, like, you know? So that's what held me in there. Like, nah, I'm not going to quit. Hell no, watch, I'm going to pull through. But that's what did it. And then so that was at 18. And then I started working at a shop when I got out at 18 at Official Cuts. I was there for 14 years, but before that I did a class. I did another shop for like a half a year. And fast forward to the age of 26, that's when I told myself, I'm like, you know what? I think I'm gonna take barbering serious. Like that's when I was like I can't, because you guys are gonna get it while you're 20, you're 23, 20. There's gonna come a time in your guys' life where, like, the fact that you guys are on your stuff right now, it's cool, it's dope, I'm happy, but it's also the thing to do in today's age. A lot of people are doing it, right? So you guys aren't out here just in the streets messing around. You guys are actually onto something. But there's gonna come a time in your 20s, like I wanna say between 25 and 27, that it's gonna hit you. You're gonna be like, damn, I'm almost 30. Like, I don't have anything going for myself. I don't have any savings. Like, I gotta stop messing around and figure something out. And that's what happened with me. And I'm like, am I gonna stick to hair or am I gonna do something else? Now, mind you guys probably don't even know this. I've never worked a real job in my life. I've never applied to a job. I never went anywhere and got an application, and I never had a job interview. I never did any of that. Everything I've ever did, everything I own and who I am and what you guys see, all came from cutting hair, right?
Wow.
So I've never gotten a paycheck. I don't know what it's like to be like, yo, I get paid Friday.
Right.
And I've always been in the jungle. Every dollar I made is by me physically having to make it. So I'm self-made to the T. So I tell people, it's like, don't stress around. You guys are having fun right now, but when you hit that age and it's gonna hit you guys, usually it's over 25, because that's when you start to feel like you're almost 30 and it starts to get scary. But a man's prime is between 30 and 35. Okay. So if you guys feel good right now, at 30, between, I want to say 32, 33, they say that, you know, Jesus died at the age of 33, right? They say that at the age of 33, your physical body and your mental are aligned. In other words, when you're born, you're a baby, fresh skin, fresh everything, no scratches, no nothing. But your mental, you have zero knowledge, just brand new. When you're old, you have all the knowledge in the world, but you're physically out of it. At the age of 33 is when you're aligned and you're even, and you're the brightest, you're the sharpest, you're making the most money. That's if you're on your shit, obviously. You're at the top of your game, and that's when you really feel like, wow, and you look back at 23, the same way right now at 23, you look back at freshman year in high school.
It's crazy. It's insane.
You see that perspective?
Yeah.
So that's when I finally got, when I made that decision. How did I commit to it? By tattooing my whole sleeve, all barber related, telling the whole story about my life. And that's really what made me, by tattooing the barber chair, the clippers, the scissors, and my whole story all the way up here. That was like my initiation to saying, all right, I'm taking this serious. And at the time, that's when social media had just kicked off. 2012, Instagram made barbering a thing, and I just kept grinding, bro. I just kept pushing, and here we are.
You said at 26 you took some stuff serious, right?
Yeah, don't get me wrong. At 21, 22, 23, I was working behind a chair. I was cutting mad hair, but I would get this money every week, and then like I say this at my pockets all the time and interviews every time. I'll be like, I'll make $300 cutting hair on a Friday, go to the mall and spend $250 on a fit, and then go to the club and spend that $50. And my mindset was like, I'm gonna make that shit tomorrow. Yeah. And then Saturday, make that another $300. Guess what? Sunday I'm off. Let's go out, eat mariscos. Let's go eat this. And I would just get it and give it, get it and give it. It was just the idea of like, oh, I'm gonna make it. As long as I got these hands and I got clients, I'm gonna make it. But it wasn't till 26 that I was just like, hold on, I got a plan for something. Like, I can't keep doing this in my 30s. Like, I need, because I would see people that would come in my chair and have businesses and make moves and do this. And I'm like, how come I can't do that? Well, because I'm out here spending it. Every time I get it, I'm out here spending it. So I never made moves, never invested. So that's really what triggered it. And it all started with a plan. Let me build the best clientele I can build. That now when you got the best clientele that you can build, I can do this and do that, they're gonna follow me. And then after that, I could do it. Like, you just gotta build leverage, and by building leverage, I was able to make moves that I wanted to do. So
that's so cool. Yeah.
Did you start your social media account? You said it like that's when social media and barbering took off, right? Was that at 26 or was this?
Yeah, it was around. Maybe a little earlier. Cause let me see, I turned 21 in 2008. So 2012, I created my account. So that's 3 years. So I was 24 when I opened up my Instagram account. And I remember thinking of a name, like, I want to call myself, at the time there was this one barber that was real big on MySpace. I don't know if you guys remember MySpace.
I do.
I'm sure you guys heard of it, right?
Yeah.
This barber that was so dope, his name was Rock Did It. And his whole style was sick because he did everything I was doing, but at the time, MySpace. So to me, it was so cool. And his name was the smartest thing ever because every time he did a haircut, people would be like, Rock did it. Like, who did your hair? Rock did it. And I thought that was so cool, but I never wanted to be one of those people that just bit off people. Because right now my name is Los Cut It, and if you search up Los Cut It, you're gonna find a lot of Cut It, AJ Cut It, AK Cut It, and that's cool. It makes me feel cool. And I know for a fact no one got it on their own because I've been rocking this name for years, almost 11 years. So I didn't want to do it like him, and I just thought I'd try to come up with a catchy name at the time. And one day I was with my design guy, and my buddy was next to me with a fresh ass fade, and somebody walked in and was like, "Damn, bro, who cut your hair?" And what did he say? He's like, "Oh shit, Los Cut It." And I was like, "Oh shit, yo, Los Cut It." So we created the logo. But at the time when I first started Instagram, dude, what's cool is that I never delete anything. So if you guys do one day find the time to go all the way down 5,000 posts, I don't know how many I got. You're gonna see all the random shit I was posting back then. Food, like the most random stuff. Because I wasn't even, the name Los Cut It was there, but it wasn't even about hair. It was just about whatever, my life, I guess, at the time. And then it's slowly, you can start seeing the transition into posting haircuts, posting work. And at the time, Instagram was only pictures. Then you see the transition when it was there. 15 seconds, when we got 15 seconds after Vine did 6. And then from then it just took off, man. And now we got reels. So now you don't even see photos. It's rarely that you see photos on people, unless you're a chick and you're doing like all these, OnlyFans posts, photos. Cool. But as far as like a creator, man, it's very rare that you see photos. It's all about reels now, man.
Do you remember the first photo that you would say got a lot of attention from?
It was a Biggie Smalls portrait that I did. It took me 3 hours to do. It was so sick. If I could find that, I'll show it to you guys. I did at the time when barbering started becoming hot, it was really cool to see like cool haircuts and fades and lineups, but nobody was doing fucking pictures on people's head. And then when that started becoming a thing, I knew it because I used to draw too, right? So when I'm back to boot camp, when I was in boot camp, it was crazy because I've always been that chameleon, man. Being the type of person that I am, I could fit in anywhere. Throw me anywhere, I'll make it work. So when I got into boot camp, it was a race war, and there was the whites versus the Mexicanos versus the blacks. And same thing when I went to Stag, they had a Mexican wall, Arabian wall, and a white wall. And I remember when they first told me, I was like, what the hell is that? Oh, well, you can't go down that hallway because that's the Mexican wall, or that's the Arabian wall. And I'm like, what? So I was the only one in that school that was cool with everybody, 'cause I just didn't care for that. I didn't come from that. So in boot camp, same thing. So I would draw dope ass art and pictures from my guys to send their girlfriends home, and in return I'll get candy, toilet paper, like you know, straight prison. Like I would get all these treats, and people appreciated me for that. And then like closer to so as the program started going towards the end, you started getting more benefits. Like in month 5, we were able to watch movies in the break room. In the last month, anyone that was there was pretty much graduating, so they were really we got rid of all the bullshit. So I was like, one day I remember they were like, they used to call me, because the Morenos, they didn't know how to pronounce Estrella, so they just call me Estrella. Because you went on there with by last name, they didn't call you by first name. So but like, man, Estrella, what the hell, you got a fresh ass lineup? And I'm like, yeah, I gotta line myself up. I use a disposable razor. And dude, there was a time I had like a line of 4 people, and I'm lining everybody up and cutting everyone with the disposable razor. And I was just that dude that was helping everybody out, and it was crazy, but that's just how I've always been, man. I was just always like, put me in a situation, I'm gonna figure out, I'm gonna study it, and I'm gonna figure out how to work with everybody. Yeah, so yeah, I don't know, I probably misleaded the question, I don't know what it was, but yeah, that's how it started. Like on Instagram, it just started going from, I wanted my name first, and then from there I just kind of went with the flow and how things went, and that's how I grew.
So doing like those photo stuff, like how do you practice? Like obviously you have to practice on people, but like how do you have like dummies that you use, or like
every barber in the world has that 1 or 2 people that they're your guinea pigs. I had guinea pigs. I had people that I would just cut up for free and just let me do whatever the hell I want. Designs, fades, anything. Color, like it was just anything I wanted, and that was it. That was my practice. I would try to draw on paper and then recreate it on a person, but it was so different because paper would normally be white and your pen or marker is usually black, whereas in hair is black, and when you carve is white. So it was always the opposite. And I learned that by trying to do a star on paper and then doing it on a person's head. I screw that up, and I was like, oh, that does not work. So the best way that I've learned is just, if you're gonna practice the real deal. You know, stop trying to cut corners. It's not gonna, like when I see people in school trying to shave balloons, I'm like, bro, you could shave 1,000 balloons all you want. But if I send you my boy who's Arabian and got a fucking beard at 16, that balloon ain't gonna do, you ain't gonna learn shit. Learn on my man's first. You might cut him once or twice, but once you get it, then you'll get it. And that's the best way to learn it, right?
Yeah.
You can sit here and study podcasting and study it by just watching videos, or you can get on the field and just figure it out as you go, right?
Trial and error,
Yeah, trial and error.
So what's like the craziest design you ever did on someone's head?
Oh man, I got a lot of those, bro. Oh, I don't have a favorite, but I can tell you this: I never redid a design. Every design is a unique piece.
Really?
Every design is an original piece. It might look the same, but something in it was tweaked, guaranteed.
Okay.
And what's cool is, what sucks at first was people all over the world would recreate it and just call it their own. And I've always said this, man, is easy to replicate. It's just so hard to recreate. I mean, it's so hard to create. Easy to replicate. It's hard to create. So anyone replicating my work, they're just waiting on me to do it so they could redo it. But I'm the one creating it. I'm the original behind it. But when I started looking at it more as a compliment, I stopped caring. Because I used to block people. People will take my designs and recreate them and tell people they did it, and then in the comment section it's like, bro, you're a monster, you're this, and I'm over here commenting on every, no, that's my design. And this got to that point where I was just like, what am I doing? You know what I mean? Like, and I used to block people, and I just got to that point where like, I created such a unique style of creating designs that anyone that sees that knows, yo, that's a Los Cutted design. Because I just have a different way of going about it.
Your own touch,
Yeah, my own touch to it.
So when was your first barbershop you ever opened, or your first place you ever opened?
It was a studio. So I was working at Official Cuts from the age of 18, and I quit at 31. I used to stay till 2, 3. I used to wait till the shop closed at 8 and do my own projects from like 9 to like 2, 3 in the morning. Models, photographer, videographer, and I used to do all that cool stuff. In your age, it's cool, but when you start getting older, bro, you're like, you can't stay up to 3 in the morning and then be back at 9 a.m. and work a 12-hour shift. You start to feel like, oh, I'm burnt out. So at the time, I remember content was being a thing on social media, and I was like, man, how can I create content without bothering anybody, because the shop that I worked at, Official Cuts, it was open 7 days a week. So there was never a day they closed. So I was just always having to work after hours, and I hated it. And then if I was free and I was excited, and my videographer couldn't do it because he had work the next day, or the model couldn't do it because she had work the next day, it was a bummer to me. So I remember telling myself, like, I need to find a play. I need to figure out a way to do this at like 11 o'clock in the morning, and I could be done at 3 in the afternoon and have the rest of the day. And once again, it goes back to building leverage. I wanted to build such a solid clientele, and the best way to do it was, I realized that when you go to barbershops, now I don't know who you guys go to, but it's very common to go to a barbershop and have an appointment with somebody, and then your barber being like, hey bro, my bad, I'm running a little late, bro, I got one more. Or my bad, I'm like 15-20 minutes late. And people would just be like, all right bro, no problem. And with me, I was like, you know what, hell no, because I'm very big on timing. So I'm like, if I can be on point with everybody, then everybody can plan their whole life around my haircut. So if you came to me at 1 p.m. because your appointment was at 1 p.m. and I'm there waiting for you at 1 p.m. and got you out by 2, that means you can go to dinner at 3. That means you could do this, you could. And that was my leverage, and I did that for 2 years, bro, to the point where everybody loved it, and I was busy all the time. I was doing like 120 heads a week. Yeah, it was a lot of people. I was cutting 6 days a week. And when I did that, I was just like, all right, I built that leverage. Now I can do whatever I want. If I decide to move to a remote area where it's just one chair, it's just me, everyone's gonna follow me, because one, it's only 10 minutes away. So people are gonna be like, yeah, you're only 10 minutes away, hell yeah, Los, I like going to you. And the people that didn't believe in me when I raised my prices, they left. They're like, oh Los, I can't afford 40, 50 bucks, whatever I was doing. So they would go somewhere else, and when they would walk in and that person's like, oh bro, my bad, I'm running late, and they saw immediately like, damn, Los is worth it, because he never ran late. And if he did run late, he would text me and say he's running late. It made it easier for me. So I was able to leave, and most of the people followed me. And now I'm in my own area doing my own thing, and I can pick and choose days that I wanted to shut down to create content during the day. And that's how I just started doing that. And I built my first location in 2017.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was a studio. The one you're talking about had that mural. It was probably the size of this whole area right here. This big. It had the same setup, literally, bro. It pictured the exact same setup without the basketball and a barber chair. So you were in a room like this with me chilling, bro. You were just, it was me and my clients. And I did that for 4 years, but then I started bringing 4 or 5 people, and they started bringing 3, 4 people, and then they brought 2 people, and then there was 16 people in the room. And I did it after 4 years. I was like, you know what, dude, it's time to grow. And now I got over 3,000 square feet here.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Wait, you said earlier you're telling me that place caught on fire, right?
Yeah. So this June, in March, we signed our lease last year. So in March was a year, but my grand opening is June 18th. And that's crazy, right? Father's Day, we were talking about doing a class June 18th. So, but that's Father's Day this year. I can't do it no more. But this June 18th is my grand opening. And I want to say I signed the lease in March last year. So around May or April, late April, I was like a month away from opening this location. And I still had that other location. I was still cutting hair there because this wasn't ready. I was at a hair show in Chicago, and then I got the message that the building caught fire overnight. And I was 5 minutes from going to this big ass stage and doing my thing. And I remember getting a call and a message, and I've seen all the footage of the building burning and everything, and then my space looking all messed up and burnt. Luckily, the firefighters got there right before it hit my room, but the door and everything burned down. Yeah, but the water, everything was damaged everywhere. And I got the message, and everyone was like, hey bro, like if you gotta leave, I get it.
Yeah.
And I was like, nah, fuck that. Let me do what I gotta do here. I'm not even worried about it, because to me, I've already outgrown that space. This was my baby. Now I was focusing on this. So once the show was over, it was a 3-day show, got that out the way. On the 4th day, everybody flew home. I went in there to see it, bro, and it just hit me like, damn. But I was fortunate to be like, well, I'm no longer here. I'm like, now let's build this spot. So I came here, and I was in Oak Lawn. So that Chicago mural wasn't in Chicago, it was in Oak Lawn. So I'm proud to say that now it's in Chicago, you know what I mean? So yeah.
That's so cool. I also saw too on your Instagram that you go to this event in Connecticut, right?
Yeah, it's this weekend.
What's it called again?
It's the CT Barber Expo. It's the biggest barber expo in the world.
Okay.
And it's held in Connecticut. And then it's the first ever, not the first ever, but that's the location where they throw the Barber Grammys.
Okay.
So picture a legit Grammy ceremony, but for barbers.
I only know about that because of A-Rod. I remember in 2017, A-Rod would like post stuff like that because in 2018, I would go to Connecticut a lot because my dad lives out there.
Oh, no way, yeah.
He's by Foxwoods Casino.
Okay,
And
I think I don't know where they're around there, but we're at some casino, some huge resort there. But go ahead.
No. And the barbershops world or barbers would just make it such a huge thing. This was in 2018, and then A-Rod would trend all the time around like May through like July.
That's when it was.
Yeah, and all the time, and I'm like, oh wow, now I just see all these designs and all these barbers, and I don't know, it's just be crazy.
Yeah, it's crazier now. Like it's this weekend, it's this Saturday. It's stressful because it's like it's one of a kind show. It's normally when I fly to different expos and different shows, I just go dress how I'm dressed now and do my thing on stages. But this is the one show that is only for barbers. Mm-hmm. Whereas these other expos that are huge, have you ever been to an expo, a hair expo? Mm-mm. So picture the auto show. Okay. But instead of car companies, it's just product company, tool company, clipper companies, big booths. I mean, tens of thousands of people that show up over the weekend. But it's for hairstylists and barbers. This is the only one that's strictly for barbering. Okay. So it's all barbering, and obviously we're all rooted there. And I work for two of the biggest companies in the industry, one clipper and one product. So I go that weekend, I represent both at the same time. So I'm running from one stage, getting off, going to the other stage for 2 days. And then you have the Grammy ceremony. So you have to buy a tux or a suit, or somehow you have to show off fashion. So it's a very stressful weekend when it comes to that. Because one thing about me, I hate shopping, bro. I'm not, I hate shopping. I hate going to the stores and having to shop. It's so like cringe to me. Like I'd rather order online and all that, but this is the one event that I really take time off and I really just kind of get everything situated before I go,
How do you win a Grammy there though? Like
you gotta get nominated. Okay. Just like anything else. I've got nominated. I've lost to some big names. I'm not mad. These people they're just steady content, but I strongly feel like I was in the wrong category. Like I shouldn't have been in the same category as those people because they create, like for example, A-Rod. I didn't lose to A-Rod, but A-Rod his content is way different than my content. You know what I mean? And especially with the content that made A-Rod blow up was him being like really funny and like charismatic on his videos and doing all these things with YouTubers and all that. I don't do that. I don't go on camera and do all that. I'm more about like cinematic, legit quality work, skill work, and like showing that it's very rare that I'm in there. Now I goof around. I just dropped a video today. It's got over 120,000 views in like 3 hours on TikTok. As of now, So I'm like, whoa. But now I dabble in the cool stuff because I'm trying to study the way the algorithm is and what's hidden. But being in a category with a person like A-Rod over like something that's very broad, like creative content, is just like, of course, someone like A-Rod's gonna win. You know what I mean? Yeah. Not that I don't deserve it, but I feel like they had to make categories just a little more specific, a little tighter. But the person that I lost to, she deserved it. Her following, like, she's the type of girl that she posts in like 10 minutes, I already got like 3,000 likes. Wow. And it's like, how do you compete to that? You know what I mean? Like, I can't compete with that. Even though my stuff is pretty cool, it's just, like she should have been in that category with like Rob the Original, A-Rod, those are the type of people that you put together in a category. But I've lost, I've got nominated, and I mean, there's a lot of people that get nominated, and a lot of people that are gonna win this weekend that I'm excited for, that I voted for. So it'll be dope, man. So if you guys do check out my story, you'll see what it's all about, man.
Okay. I've seen it too around your post, but also to add this quick question: how do you determine the prices of your like cuts?
Oh, nice. Oh, well, I've always said this, right? A lot of people ask me. That's the number one question I get. How do I raise my prices? Oh, I'm scared to lose clients. So this is one thing that I've always said for years that blew up, went viral. If you're too busy, you're too what? You're too cheap, right? So if you're at a point and you're cutting hair, and you're at a point where you can't have your lunch break because you're so busy that the thought of you stopping and going to the back to enjoy a meal is no way in hell, because you're that late that you have to take the next guy because you got a guy after that and a person after that. So when you're at that point where you're stressing, then it's time to move up on your prices, right? And another thing is, if you have to prove that, right? You have to prove that you're busy enough. A lot of people, I think, are trying to jump the gun and raise the prices, but they've only been cutting hair for like 2 years or a year. And I tell people like, bro, me personally, I can't take you serious unless you've been doing hair for 5 years. Because I know the type of person that comes from a 1 year to a 5 year. I know, I've been there. I've been 24 years. I've been there. So anybody after 5 years is already established. It's already good. It's already, they know what they're doing. They know what they have to do. Then I can start taking you serious. Then I could give you advice and how to plan. But I've seen barbers quit 4 years in and say, I'm not making enough money. I'm going to go work part-time at UPS. And I'm like, part-time, why? Because you're guaranteed a check? That safety net? Like, nah, screw that. Screw that safety net. Throw me in the jungle, I'm going to survive. So if you're trying to always go back to that safety net, dude, that means you definitely don't have it to survive, because there's bigger wolves out there. There's bigger sharks out there. So when it comes to prices, ask yourself what you're worth, man. Don't just feel like you're worth $100 a haircut, but you never take a class. You never go to these shows and invest in your industry. You never invest in your skills. You never invest in anything. Why the hell would anyone pay you $100?
That's true.
But if you're taking classes and you're learning new techniques and you're learning just a lot of hairstyling techniques and product knowledge, and you're learning all that, and your clients see you learning all that, that's what helped me. My clients would come to me and be like, bro, you were just in Miami yesterday. I'm like, yeah, I know. What were you doing? I had a show. We did. Hey, you're here today? Yeah. And guess what I learned? Check out what I learned. And I'll show these new clippers that I bought and all that. When they see that, then when you tell them, yo, it's $100 a haircut, they're going to be like, yes.
Yeah.
Of course, because I see you putting effort in your industry.
100%.
Most barbers, bro, they won't even leave their neighborhood and they want to make $100 a haircut. It's like, no, bro. Like, you got to go. You got to spend money to what?
Make money. Yeah.
My point exactly. But, you know, this industry is very... These new generation of barbers, I feel like, are seeing the things that I'm doing, and they want to get there without the 24 years of fucking struggling that I went through, right?
Was there ever a point in your life where, like, you wanted to give up on cutting hair?
Oh, dude, I quit cutting hair like 10 times in my whole career. Really? Yeah, like mentally. Like, I was like, oh, I'm not doing this shit no more. Like,
but you just...
Because it'll get to that point where, like, little things can happen where somebody, you'll have 10 people on your schedule, and then your fifth person ends up getting pulled over or ends up running 15 minutes behind, and they're trying to sit here and tell you like, oh bro, come on, I'm never late, bro, I'm never late, and one time I'm late, you're gonna do me like that. So you're trying to get them in, and by getting them in, it's a chain reaction. Now you're late for every client after that, and it stresses you out. And instead of getting out at 8 because now you had plans with your girl at 9 p.m. Now you're getting out at 9 and your girl's mad, and it just takes all this emotional damage on you that over years and years and years it builds up, and you're just like, man, I'm done. Like I'm done cutting hair. Like I don't need this. Let me go see who else is hiring. But I've always known that deep down, hair can buy me freedom. Personal skills, the stuff you guys are doing. If you guys work hard, this could buy you freedom. You don't have to work for nobody. You can work for yourselves. And because I've always known that, I've always came back to my senses and realized what it was. But what really helped me is every time I got burnt out and I felt like quitting, I learned a new technique. I learned a new trait. So for example, I would tell you guys, I would stay behind and cut hair and do these dope ass videos and all that with a photographer and a videographer. But when they weren't available and I was still trying to do that, what did I do? I learned it. I'm like, well, I'm not gonna wait on this person all the time. Let me, while they're here shooting, let me see what kind of camera they're using. Oh, what lens is that? Oh, what are your settings? Oh, why do you put the light up there? Oh, because it creates raccoon eyes. Okay, so you have to do a fill light. Okay. Oh, and at the time, YouTube was barely becoming a thing, so I would study YouTube. And by learning all these things, by learning photography, ooh, now I can take my own photos. What? Hell yeah. Now I'm geeked. Yo, let me give you a free haircut because I want to do a whole photo shoot. And you see how I sparked that fire back up? So by sparking that fire up, now I'm able to, boom, another 5 years, hard. And then guess what? When I burn out again, all right, what else can I learn? Videography? Are videos being a thing now? Oh, I can learn video. Let me study it. Let me hire people. Let me spend $1,000 on a videographer, learn from them, and then create my own, because I'm a creative, create my own version of his version. And now I can do my own work. Now that I can do my own work, I can do my work anytime, anywhere, and boom, fire back up. So I will just learn all these different techniques and new traits and just a lot of cool stuff that lit the fire back up. Whereas, and I feel like people, when they get, what's the word I'm looking for? They just get discouraged. They fail, they get discouraged, and then their fire goes out, and then they tuck their tails between the leg, and then let me go see if I could go sell cars, or let me go become a real estate agent. I'm like, no, hell no, bro, what? So yeah, like when the pandemic hit, so many barbers that I know are not like fucking comedians, real estate agents. They quit, and it's like, no, bro, I didn't quit. I just pivoted. What did I do? I created an online course that you can learn by watching my online course for $20 a month.
Oh wow!
I made a way to figure the shit out, and like I said, it all goes back to throw me into the jungle. You know, I'm gonna figure it out.
So you're very well spoken. Was that like a skill you developed over the years, or you just came like that? Oh,
dude, when I first signed with a $42 billion company in Conyer in 2016. I signed with them, and we were supposed to do training because I didn't know anything about the tools. And I get in there, and they're like, "Oh, Los, you're first one up." What do you mean? Yeah, 9 a.m. segment. You're going up 9 a.m. Bro, I don't know shit about the tools. You'll be all right. What do you mean I'll be all right? Just do what you do. And going out there and people are watching you, and bro, when you get thrown out there and you have to fend for yourself and you do what you got to do, then you develop these skills. A lot of people think that me talking, because maybe it looks easy now, but man, what you're hearing is 10 years of constant education, speaking all over the world, and it helps me come here. And this is why I started doing a podcast, because I'm good at it, you know? Yeah. So yeah.
So like with like the cutting hair parts, have any celebrities like hit you up to cut their hair? And how do you price range that?
Well, it depends, man. A lot of the times, if a celebrity hits me up, I usually just waive it. Okay. Because it's more about the opportunity. It's more about I mean, anything. A photo with a celebrity could mean way more than a couple hundred they're gonna give me. But one thing about me is that I've never chased celebrities, because if you think about it, when you cut hair takes you anywhere you want. Anywhere, literally. You can cut actors, be in movie sets. You can own a barbershop. You can own a barber school. You could do what I'm doing here. You could create content. You could cut celebrities, like just be the personal barbers. You could freelance, travel all over the world. I mean, dude, the list goes on of what you can do with cutting hair. Me, I never wanted to cut celebrities, because the few times that I had the opportunity to cut celebrities, these guys will sit here and be like, come in my hotel room at 2 a.m, or can you cut my boys up too? Or can you do this? Or now I'm in the hotel room waiting for them to come out. So I still worked for somebody. Here, right now, I'm my own boss. I don't work for nobody, bro. You know, I got a team. We do this shit together. I'm on nobody's time, bro. Nobody. And I prefer it that way. Now, don't get me wrong, if one of my boys that cuts Diddy up is like, yo, Diddy's in Chicago, needs a cut, or Drake or anything, would I do it? Fuck yeah, but that's not what I'm chasing. So I don't go after that. I can't work for nobody. You ain't gonna sit here and tell me to go to your room and wait on, like, respectfully, I'm not gonna do that. Unless the value has to exceed the price. If the value there is more than the price, then I'll go. I mean, I've cut Frank Ocean up. I had a few big names that I cut that. What sucks is I've never asked for a photo. I never did anything. It was just more of like a sign of respect for celebrities. Now, mind you, I am not a celebrity by all means, but in the hair industry, I'm pretty well known. Right? So when I go to these shows and I walk around and a barber sees me, if a barber treats me like a regular person, the odds are you're gonna get more out of me. But if you come up to me and you're fanning like a fanboy and you're like, oh bro, yo man, huge inspiration, this and this and that, I'm gonna be like, bro, I'm gonna be respectful and I'm gonna keep it short. And I'm like, oh babe, hey, appreciate the love, man, appreciate the respect. You wanna get a photo, let's do it, let's take a pic, cool. Hey man, keep doing what you're doing, cool. But if I see you at an event and you approach me like a legit person and you just have regular conversation with me, odds are we're gonna end up being best friends by the end of the night, because that's how celebrities are as well. And I learned that. I'm like, if you just treat a celebrity like they're people, they're legit people. You're not sitting here trying to get pictures, because as soon as you go that route and trying to get photos with celebrities, or you're trying to do this, that's when they know they got to put their guard up. And I got to keep it simple. And I'm gonna shut up, bro. I had Frank Ocean telling me shit that I don't want. Obviously, I'm not gonna speak on it right now. But shit that I was like listening to him talk, that I'm like, man, imagine if I just tweeted this. Like, imagine if I had to prove that this was his idea, or this was that, or how he wanted his haircut. Like, it was so cool to me. That to me was enough. So that's how I move. But yeah, when it comes to celebrity, that's the main question I get. How do you cut celebrities lows? You should be cutting. No, what I should be doing is just doing what I love doing, which is what I'm doing right now.
And a part of like cutting hair, what do you do for fun? You know, like besides cutting hair, you know.
I love eating, bro. Eating and traveling. That's my shit. Like
mariscos.
Mariscos. I'm a big foodie guy, bro. I love Chicago. To me is the best food in the nation. Can you go to Cali and get some fire tacos? Yeah, cool. Can you go to Miami and get this dish? Cool. But Chicago to me is the only place that you can get a variety of food, and is the best. But I love eating. I love traveling. I wish I could travel more for fun, but it's just not in me to fly anywhere in the world without my clippers.
Okay.
I feel like it's like going somewhere without your phone. You know what I mean? Like, can you imagine going on a trip to Miami and you got no cell phone?
Yeah.
You feel like, damn, I left something behind, you know, because I could be working, I could be doing something. So if I'm anywhere in the world, I have to bring my clippers because you never know who you're gonna run into. You never know who's gonna need a haircut or at any given time. So it's hard to leave anywhere and not make it about work. And if I do want to go, for example, I want to go to Hawaii. I've been wanting to go back to Hawaii to vacation. But to me, I'm like, bro, if I'm gonna fly 9 hours to Hawaii, let me go set up. I know people out there. Let me go set up a class. Even if I get 50 people at that class, at like $200 a ticket. If I get 50 people, 50 times 2 is what is it? I get about 10 bands. I can make $10,000 going to Hawaii, doing a class, and then the rest of the 7 days I'm on vacation. So that's always been my mentality. When I go to Dubai for a show, all right, I'm booked through contract to go to Dubai to do this big ass hair show. Well, shit, I'm gonna stay 7 extra days because I want to chill in Dubai. So I always mix the two, and it's very hard for me to be like, nah, man, I should just vacation and because people ask me, and this one girl asked me one time, she's a barber, she's like, how do you balance your personal life and your barber life? And I told her straight up, I'm like, I wouldn't know how to answer you that because barbering is my life. I am barbering. It's what I do for a living. So I never separate the two. And that's your answer right there.
That's cool. That's wicked. And also too, I also saw that this is your brand too as well. The
GOAT,
yeah. How did that start, and why did that start?
So, funny story, man. It's crazy. I would all the cool stuff that I've done in my Instagram. A lot of people now started with my boy, Mr. Official. He would always comment the GOAT emoji, go. Now we all know what the meaning is, right?
Yeah.
The greatest of all time. The thing is, there's still a lot of barbers and people out there that I consider that are amazing or better than me on certain things. Now, even though I can do everything, doesn't mean I could do that one thing better than this person or that one thing better than that person. So I never saw myself as a GOAT, but what I did see myself was a person that always gave it his best. I've always tried to be the best that I can be. And I'm one of the very few people that you'll meet that not only knows how to cut hair, I could also film and edit better than most people that do videography for a living. I can probably shoot and edit photos better than most people that do photography for a living. And I still cut hair. I can educate better than most people that speak in front of people for a living. So I did a lot of great stuff because I was always trying to be the greatest version of me, the GOAT. So when I created that shirt, that brand, and I put it in shirts and I put it in a lot of things, it was to symbolize that I was just trying to be the greatest version of myself. So when I give it to people or when people buy it, that shirt, it just necessarily means when you wear it, it doesn't mean you're wearing a Los Cut t-shirt. It means you're wearing a brand that symbolizes that you're trying to be the best version of who you are. Yeah. And I think that's a very universal brand that anyone could wear. It's so simple. I don't give in shirts, and people bought shirts that be like, bro, everywhere I go, people are like, yo, where'd you get that shirt? It's so dope. It's so simple. And the reason why it's so simple is because that GOAT outline is the exact same one as the emoji GOAT. So it's such a familiar GOAT look, you know. So
I've seen it in your IG. That's why I'd asked. I was like, yo, that's kind of dope. And I know you said you also have your own like clippers and stuff. How do you go with that? Like, how do you make it your own besides like the color and like obviously the design?
Well, the fine line was it's a Los Cut influencer clipper, meaning I got paid to have my name on the box. If my name was on the clipper, then we would have been talking a whole different ballgame. Like, I probably would have got lawyers involved to get more money and all that because it's on a signature clipper. But it was more of an opportunity that Babyliss gave us. I mean, it's even today to even try to talk about it, it's crazy to me that I got a clipper with my face that sold worldwide. And even if you turn it around, flip it to the other side, there's a bio about me saying that I'm from Chicago, saying that I'm this and I'm that. And what's cool is anyone in the world that buys these sees that. And the person that made the art behind it is the person that does like the Marvel drawing and art. So and they got his bio on the bottom right there. So the color scheme was because obviously Chicago Bulls. Right. The art, you see the line on the front? There's a line because I'm a Leo, born in July. There's the outline of the tracks for Chicago in there somewhere. Some of my custom designs are in there as a abstract look. So it's very customizable, the box, to who I am. The color scheme was representing Chicago, but the clipper is obviously Babyliss. So it's more of a collaboration than it is a clipper.
I saw that too. I was like, oh, like how does that work? But you said, okay, that makes more sense.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Because I had a lot of people. I cut a lot of intelligent people, man. So a lot of people are like, you know, how much did you get paid? And I tell them, they're like, oh, I mean, don't get me wrong, we got a beautiful buck. But could I have gotten more? Yes, but it made more sense to have that argument if my signature was on the actual clipper.
Okay.
Yeah, we got paid to have our stuff on the box. Which, this is more from like their perspective. They're telling me. But the way I look at it is like, bro, that's just an opportunity that they gave us. Like, what do you mean? You know what I mean? Like, what? Yeah, I'll take it.
And you're getting paid for it.
I'm getting paid for it. People, to this day, I mean, those were released a couple years ago, and to this day, I still get people that tag me on these.
Oh, damn.
And, you know, it's a clipper and a trimmer. That's a trimmer right there you're looking at. That's the first one that came out.
Limited edition too, yeah.
The second one that came out was the actual clipper.
That's cool. That's dope.
But yeah, I mean, that'll always have a place in my heart because it's just, imagine like someone makes a mic.
Yeah.
Because of your podcast.
Yeah.
20 years from now. You know what I mean? Like, you're just like, what? Oh my, I would have never guessed, or whatever your thing is. But yeah, man, it's cool seeing that. It's just very hard to look back sometimes. Sometimes I have to stop myself and look back just to see all the things that I've done. Because for those of you guys that are wondering, you're never going to feel like you made it anywhere.
Yeah.
And you've probably heard this before. It's never the finish line. It's never the finish line. It's enjoy the process. Enjoy all the shit you got to go through, because if you think, oh, I made it on a magazine, or I made it on TV, or I made it on a stage, or I made it, or this person shouted me out, if you think that thing right there is gonna fulfill that enjoyment, nah, it's looking back and seeing, damn, I did all that in the last 5 years. Holy shit, that is what fulfills you, man. And that's one thing that I've learned. So every time I have a goal, if I knock it down, boom, knocked it down. What's the next mission? And then every once in a while, I stop, smell the roses, appreciate it, maybe buy me something to validate that, and then keep it moving.
That's dope.
I was also gonna say, on your Instagram, I see that like a lot of people take like photos in the studio with their cars, or you had like a comedy show here. Right?
Do everything here, yeah.
Dang, that's
so crazy. I think I'm one of the I'm trying to think. I don't think there's another studio that represents hair, where you're able to pull a car in. And I got 2 garage doors, and obviously I mean, at first when I first opened it up, I was like, dude, everybody pull in. Like, I don't care. Pull in, park, get your haircut. But after a while, I was like, nah, just park your ass outside, come inside. But we did I have this company, my dudes, and they're in Philly. I think it's Philly. No, South Carolina. My bad. They call it Barberville. They're bringing back this MTV Cribs vibe. Oh yeah. To the studios and to the barbershops, luxury barbershops only. It's not your regular shops. So everybody that has a studio or a 6 space, and they just came and filmed us, and we did this whole shoot for the entire day, and I was breaking down his entire space, and I'm looking forward to it. It's not gonna drop till like October, I want to say, but I'm looking forward to it, man. Yeah. It's gonna be sick. The 1 minute reel will drop in like a couple weeks, so you guys will see that. But the full like version of the episode is gonna be in October. But I'm excited for that because I really went into depth into every piece you see here. We talked about why and what, you know.
Also, too, I wanted to ask, like, obviously now, like, you're very successful in the barber world. When you wanted to do barber, what did your parents think? Because we're Latinos, you know, go to school, sacrifice, all that. Like, how was that?
My mom was always with it. I think that day I got in an argument with my dad. I remember you saying something slick to him, and he got up. He was eating, and he got up, and he was like, if you want to get a haircut every week, he's like, go buy your own machine. He's like, I don't care if you go bald. I really don't give a shit. So my dad, since that moment, he just never brought it up. When I got my first job at 15, I told my mom, hey, man, I got a job. Where? I'm cutting hair at this barbershop. I dropped my buddy that put me onto that shop, and she was like, oh, okay, good. Never thought anything of it. But my family was supportive. They just didn't, I guess maybe to them, they just thought it was a phase. They were just like, oh, he's cutting hair. Sooner or later, he's going to become an adult. He's going to want to get a job. But the thing with them is that every year, I always progressed. So every year, I was either making more money, or the year after that, I finally got my first car. Then the year after that, I did this. The year after that, I moved out. So it was always progressing every year. So they couldn't really say shit. But it took me about 11 years to cut my dad's hair.
Wow.
He would still go to that same lady. Yeah. The same lady. Until one day that lady was not available. And he didn't even know how to ask me. And he was just like, mijo, he's like, you think you could clean me? In Spanish, he's like, ¿me puedes cortar el pelo? I was like, hell yeah. It was believe it or not, it was the first time that I got scared. Like, I was like shaking. I was like, oh, fuck, I'm about to cut my dad's hair. And ever since then, the first day I cut his hair, He didn't tell me, but my mom told me. She's like, he ain't never going back to her. Damn. And ever since then, I just became his barber.
Wow.
Yeah, and but I had girls, I had guys, friends. Everyone doubted me. I had a girl, and I'll never forget this, and I hope she one day sees this shit too, because I always say it every chance I get. I was 16 years old. Her dad made a lot of money. They made a lot of money. She was a privileged kid at 16 who had her own car. Now, mind you, how many sophomores do you really know that got their own car, right?
Yeah.
Unless their daddy bought it. And I really liked this girl, man. And I remember one day she would always pick me up and drop me off. And one day we got into like a little something, and she was like, well, you need to get a job. And I was like, I do have a job. What do you mean? I cut hair. She's like, Carlos, that's not a real job. I mean a real job. And I was like, what do you mean? I'm getting like $10 a haircut. What are you talking about? I do 10 people a day. That's like $100. But at the time, I wasn't getting 10 people a day. I was getting like 2 people maybe max. And I remember her telling me that she's like, cutting hair is not a real job. I ran into her 10 years later. I was like 26 when I first started taking it serious. Ran into her. And at the time, I thought I was doing great. And it looked like I was doing great to her. And she remember her telling me, she's like, oh, I stand corrected, you're doing good. But shit, I wonder if she knows where I'm at today. You know what I mean? Yeah. Fast forward another 10 years. So, damn, that was 20 years ago. That's crazy. Yeah, so I had people that doubted me, man. It's because the thing is like, if you have a vision about something and you're really passionate about it, no one's going to see your shit. You can't force people to come with you. You know, if you guys are in this together and you guys all believing in it, you're going to come across different people are going to come and help you. But a lot of people are not going to see your vision. And I think a lot of the times people try to hold people on. But in reality, what I tell people is like, dude, just keep doing what you're doing. Whoever's going to fall off is going to fall off. Because the higher you go, the more you prove your concept, the right people are going to be attracted. The right people are going to come in your team along your way, and you're going to grow and you're going to get bigger and better. And that's just how things are. So I used to always try to bring people with me because I cared for these people. Or I try to convince them to see what I saw, but no one ever saw. Telling people at the time, yo, I'm going to be in a room by myself, and I'm going to cut hair by myself, and I'm just going to be, and the people are just like, you're fucking crazy. Why? Yeah. Why wouldn't you open up a shop and have 10 barbers, and all these 10 barbers are paying you money? I'm like, yeah, but that's old school, bro. And they just couldn't grasp that concept of thinking. So by doing it and proving it, guess how many barbers in the fucking world has private studios now? I was one of the very few people that inspired that. So it's just, I learned that. You know what? If you believe in something deep, just keep doing it, man. It's going to pay off. If you put in work, it'll pay off. And once you prove that, watch how many people are going to be like, oh, I used to know them, man. They're from Chicago. I know who they are. You'd be like, motherfucker, you didn't believe me. And that's how it goes.
I stand by that because it's the saying is you're crazy until you're successful, but then you're a genius. And it's crazy too because like when I started this podcast scene, everyone thought I was crazy and stuff, and then I posted every single day. So it became like, what are you posting? I'm like, Mo, my engagement's going to come from these TikToks and these reels and stuff to come to my podcast. Right. And then just like a month ago, we hit 4K.
Nice.
Like we were like at 200, 200, then 300, 400, then back to 200, and then like a month ago we hit 4K. So, and it's nowhere near where I want.
Bro, let me tell you something, man, that you guys don't even know. I'm very selective with who I work with. Right? I like to think that I have a gift that I can see certain things in certain people. And I've proven that concept along the way. I can name drop if I want, but that's pointless. My point is, I seen who you are. First, I seen people that I know that you worked with. Steve, what's his name? That you did Hove. I've known all these people. Like I grew up with people that knew these people. So you're very Chicago, and I seen you guys affiliated with like the Nelk Boys or people that know the Nelk Boys. I seen the consistency. I see the way you guys edit your videos in today's modern times. It's not a high end production, but it's what people want to see now. Raw, phone, quick, subtitle. I pay attention to all that. I studied all that, and it took me about 20 minutes, and I was like, yeah, I'll do your podcast because I saw the potential. I see the potential, and that's what really did it. You know, I didn't talk to nobody and ask nobody. I just knew I saw what I saw, and it was enough for me to be like, okay, I'm gonna come in. I'm gonna share whatever.
That means a lot.
I didn't know what you guys wanted to talk about, but I'm like, I'm here.
That means a lot. No,
of course.
Thank you.
No, it means a lot too, because like I'm telling you, it's just trial and error, and like no matter what, like I'm gonna keep going. Like you said, like the vision's there, like the end of the vision's there, and it's not really about the money or anything. It's just like putting a message out there, right?
How did it go with the Mother's Day thing?
Oh, good. That's cool. We just went to Jules, bought some flowers, and went around the city and just gave it out to any mom we saw.
What do you guys know at that liquor store?
GoldCoast?
Yeah.
Haney.
I'm trying to see if I know who he is. I know, man, I'm horrible with names, bro.
Haney, Arab, Ramirez.
Who's Nadal's brother?
Nadal's brother? I don't know.
Man, they call him Toucan, maybe. I've seen him there before a few times. Maybe he was just visiting. I don't know if he was working there, but I went in there a couple times and bought a couple things, and he was there behind the counter.
Okay.
I talked to him, so I don't know if he was working there, if he just knows people, but
right.
I know somebody that knows somebody. That's the most important thing. So I'm very familiar with that liquor store.
Yeah, because Haney's the one that owns the GoldCoast Market and GoldCoast Deli. And he's the one that we got connected with, and super humble guy, super cool.
Oh,
yeah? And since then we had like a great friendship and stuff. We were just with him like 2 days ago.
Yeah.
We were talking about Summer Smash when we're gonna go over there and like film more people over there. Yeah. But we just want to do more pods. Like this summer we're going to LA. Yeah. The first day, June 1st, we're gonna get like Julio Cesar Chavez Jr.'s the boxers.
No shit.
Yeah. So he actually just trained Rosas Jr. Who's that UFC person? The new guy, he's 18.
Oh, Raul.
Yeah, the kid 18. Yeah, he trained him. I was looking through his Instagram.
What? Nice.
So our first podcast ever actually was at Miami.
Nice.
So I DM'd this girl. She said, "Yeah, I was a no-brainer." I texted him like literally that day. I'm like, "You want to go to Miami?" Yeah. Booked the ticket 2 days later. Like didn't even think about it.
And that's what it's all about, bro.
Yeah.
Like, here's the thing: when you do stuff like that, and you just keep grinding, you're gonna hit December, and you're gonna look back. And you'll be like, damn, look at all we did.
Yeah.
That's when you take it in, enjoy, appreciate it. What could you have done better? What can you do different? Yeah. And then you keep it moving, because don't worry about things are just gonna keep happening, bro, and it's never gonna hit you until you look back.
Yeah.
Promise you, man. You're gonna keep getting bigger and better guests and bigger opportunities, and now you're flying out. And that's how it starts, bro. Yeah. So I'm glad to be a part of like this. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I
know if you guys make it big and blow up, shit, I could be like, yo, I was there. Now let me ask you guys this: in your 20s, what's that about?
So it's pretty much like you just said, you're in the confusing stage. When I was 18 to 20, I had it like the roughest mentally, and then when I turned 21, 22, it was like during COVID. I became disciplined. I became like getting to know who I was, and I feel like you're always in that. My sister's 27, so I would hear her like complain. School wasn't for her. She didn't go to school. She would struggle like what she wanted to do. She was always like depressed in this mental stage. Her friends, cousins, and stuff like that. So I'm like, what? Why? Like what? I didn't understand, and now I'm 23. I understand that more. I hear your story. I hear other people's story, and it's like all these doors open. You don't know what to take. Then you're 26, like you said. You're 4 years away from 30. Like you think it's too late, but it's not. Yeah. So it's like. And then also too, like we come from a Hispanic culture, and like I wanted to share the story with every single culture. Like there's something you're sharing right now that someone's not sharing, but hearing you right now say that, it's gonna open their eyes, and they're gonna say it to someone else, or they're gonna come out and be like, "Yo, I'm gonna do it because if he did it, why can't I?" Right. So it's spreading like a little message too, and it's Chicago, right? I feel like personally for me, just looking at Instagram stuff, I feel like Chicago's kind of reserved. So I feel like that's why I try to go out in the city, try to give stuff, try to interact with different people, just to like open it up more,
that's
right?
another reason why I did it, because you were all about Chicago. Yeah. Right? I seen that, and I was like, you're obviously targeting the right people. I have a lot of cool people that I know. If you guys have, feel free to look at my following. I only follow like 800 people or 800 and something. Anybody that you're interested in, I'll be more than happy to send out a referral, man.
Yeah, no, thank you, man.
To make it easier for you guys.
Yeah.
Because a lot of things that we do in this industry, in any industry, right? It's like if we get green lighted, it makes it easier. Like somebody that I fuck with is like, yo, these boys want to do a podcast, and they're cool people, then that's all I need. So it works both ways. If there's somebody that you think, because there's a lot of talent in Chicago. Yeah. And I feel the same way because I travel a lot. And I feel like, Miami's always on the map. LA's always on the map. You got New York here and there. But Chicago is just like, it's only so dope to the people that live in Chicago. Yeah. Everyone else is like, oh, it's cold as shit over there. It's windy. Or it's violent. It's this. Yeah, it's all that. But it's still one of the nicest cities in the whole nation. Yeah. And some monsters and anything that from photography, barbers itself. We're just so great, and you guys are highlighting that in ways. That was one of the main reasons as well that I took it, because I'm like, yo, like I don't know if you guys know who my videographer is, directed by Carlos. Follow his work, and you're gonna be like, yeah, we want to get him next. 24 years old, 25. Monster. This guy's worked with Jake Paul, Logan. 2 Chains. Wow. I could keep going, bro. He's such a monster. And I was cutting his hair today, actually, earlier, and I was telling him about you guys. And he's like, hold on, man. Let me see these guys. Let me check them out. He checked your page out. He seen that you guys, you got in contact with Kyle, and he seen all that. And he was like, okay, they're a real deal. And I was like, yeah. What I liked about it is that they're so Chicago. They're all about Chicago, and they're putting on. And just like any Chicagoan in the world, when I travel, I represent Chicago to the fullest. Yeah. I'm going to Connecticut. My outfit for the first day is a Chicago Bulls hat, a Chicago's jacket, and some Jordans. Like, I'm straight Chicago everywhere I go. Yeah. So that was one of the things that I'm like, yo, keep that going, because one thing that we are, bro, as a Chicagoan, we're proud to be Chicago. Yeah, 100%. So if you guys make that shine, it's gonna be easier for you guys to blow up here. You blow up here first, and then everywhere else is gonna take on, man.
Oh, thank you. Carlos, thank you so much.
Of course, bro.
I don't know if you want to add something.
I mean, one thing that Haney, the owner of the Gold Coast market, that Pedro always brings up is like they always talk about they want to bring Hollywood into Chicago.
Yeah.
And so that's why, I'm like, yeah.
That's my favorite saying.
Yeah.
Hollywood in what aspect?
Like, he wants to bring, like, when you think of, like, the major cities and, like, parties and, like, all these famous people, you think of Hollywood or Miami. That's what he told me. He's like, I want to bring literally Hollywood to Chicago. So, like, when you think of famous celebrities or the hotspot, Chicago.
Yeah. That would be sick.
See, that's
I
what he
would
wants.
love that, man.
No, yeah.
Like, I don't know, like,
it just has to be done right. It's the thing about Chicago is just so... Chicago's so thorough, man. It's so... I don't want to say hood. I mean, it get ratchet. You know, because it was crazy because when people come in like, yo, when I go to Chicago, like, where don't I go? And I'm like, well, go downtown. Don't leave downtown. And they're like, oh, okay, safe there? I'm like, no, you're not safe in downtown. But those are your best odds.
Yeah.
Don't roam around. Don't do all that. But if Chicago can get it together, if parties are being held, if celebrities are coming in, if things are being conducted in Chicago, if they're done correctly, I think it could work. Because it's a beautiful city. I just had one of my girls from Miami flying for a wedding in Chicago last week. She was out here, and then she was like, dude, wow, Chicago's so nice. It was when it was like 80 out here. She was like, it's so nice. I can't believe I've never been here. And she's from Miami.
Oh, wow.
You know, so I was like, I'm like, you see? It's just, it's so dope. I think people get the wrong misconception when they hear things. And most people, for whatever fucking reason, always come to Chicago in the winter.
Yeah.
Every time I hear anybody come to Chicago, they're like, that's cold as hell, it's snowing. I'm like, y'all gotta come in the summer. It's only 3 months.
Yeah.
But you guys gotta come in those 3 months, and it'll be the best time of your life.
Yeah.
And that's why I don't like leaving in the summer, bro. I try to stay as much as I can at home, because where else am I gonna go that's gonna be better for me in Chicago? In summertime shot, right?
Yeah.
With the playpen out there downtown. I live downtown, so I back right by the lake. I do a lot of cool shit down there. So it's like, what am I gonna go to Miami and do the same shit? Nah, I rather we got the beaches, we got the city. I mean, we got the good food. Yeah. What else you need? So that's what I always try to tell people. But you know, most people, when summertime comes, they either stay in their own area or they travel to like Mexico and all that cool stuff. You know.
Well, to be quick too, like I told him a couple days ago, my plan, this is like 20 years from now, 30 years from now, because of Chicago. I've been to like major clubs already. What I want to own, like my end goal, is a nightclub. Yeah. Because I feel like I've always been like in that party phase when I was like 15, like 18, 19. And also too, like when I go to clubs, I normally don't really drink now. Nice. So like I just see the outside, right? And I see like what people like, what don't. I want to own a nightclub. Like I want it to be like the hotspot where people go. I want it to be the hotspot where you're like, oh, like, where should we go? Chicago, right? Like, when you go to Miami, what do you think of? 11. You think of Bounce. Yeah. You go to Cali, you think of all these major clubs, but I want somewhere not Tao, not Joy District. Like, I want to create an own nightclub where people just come, you know?
Damn,
all year round. That's, like, my end goal. You know,
like, when... So, what are you doing now to get that started?
Now? Podcast. Well, I'm still in class, right? I'm grinding out this school, right? This diploma is pretty much just for my parents.
Right.
To give them to them. And
college?
College, yeah.
What are you majoring in?
Psychology.
Ooh, beautiful.
This is why I'm doing the podcast stuff. I like to pick people's brains because I get to learn so much, right? You get to like just experience so much. And I thought I wanted to be like a psychiatrist, a therapist, which I kind of still stand by it, which is pretty much bringing therapy into the podcast, right? Yeah. It's kind of included. So having like a degree right there, I can use it. It's just a piece of paper in my opinion. But yeah, I'm doing that. I'm still a part-time worker at Vineyard Vines. I'm a manager at Vineyard Vines, and I'm just hustling, right? I'm trying to get some income to like invest in like better gadgets, better mics, better laptop, better cameras, lighting, whatever. Potentially like, you know, pay Harrison, pay Nathan like what they're worth, because they're worth so much. And just like I'm trying to hustle, keep my mental health insane too as well, and just grind it. You know, like it's the vision. I want it, but like gotta prove yourself. Like you said earlier, like there's so many creators out there. What are you willing to do for it?
Yeah,
right.
The only thing is the advice that I can give you is always have a plan.
Yeah.
Right. Don't me and my boy like to say, don't get lost in the sauce. Sometimes if you're just out here in the hamster wheel and you're just moving around, you're not going anywhere. You're just doing the same shit. Before you know it, you're in your 30s and you're like, holy crap, I did all this cool shit, but I didn't go nowhere.
Yeah.
But if you have a plan, and the things about these plans is that they take a long time.
Yeah.
So if you tell yourself, how I run my life since the age of 26 was 5-year plans. I quit official cuts at 31. So when did I tell you I took barbering serious?
26.
So I was like, yo, in 5 years, I want to have such a solid clientele that I can leave.
Yeah.
At 31, right? At 36, which I'll be this July, that's my next 5-year plan. I'm already ahead of it because my goal was to own a space ago. So in those 5 years, I got this. I got my 41-year-old plan. No, God willing, I make it to 41. So every 5 years, I have a plan because 5 years is not too long, but it's not next year.
Yeah.
So you can plan. You're like, all right, I'm 23. By the time I'm 28, this is where I want to be. I at least want to do this, do that, so I can get this level of ready for the nightclub eventually. So you set, and then when you get to that level, and then you set another 28 to 32, 33, I want to be here. So now, as long as you know what you're working towards, now you can move accordingly and do all this shit towards it. And there's an end goal. There's always these little end goals. But I know people, bro, that'll sit here and cut hair for 20 years and they can't quit because they have bills to pay, they have things to do. But then you ask them, like, well, what's your plan? They're like, what you mean? Then, bro, how long do you think physically your body's gonna hold out cutting hair 12 hours a day?
Yeah.
Before your back starts killing you, before, you know what I mean? Like, always have a plan. So that's all it is, bro. Do all your connections, do all your mistakes right now. Go broke if you can. Do all that, bro. Trust me, because you're still good. You guys are still good. Like 20s, bro. Whew. I say that shit all the time, like, man. But you know, you probably hear it. Imagine going back to your 20s knowing what you know now, like, wow. So it would be equivalent to me telling you, like I did earlier. Imagine at 23 being like, all right, let's go back to freshman year.
Yeah.
Imagine that, man, having that, right? So same shit, bro. Just always gotta have that perspective on you. Think ahead. I'm always trying to be 5 years ahead. I'm always thinking, and once I know how to go about that, then I just enjoy it. I do the things that I do, and I enjoy the things that I do here, and then keep it moving.
That's literally well said. Like, Carlos, thank you so much for having on the podcast. Like, literally learned a lot. Shout out your socials too to the people where to find you.
Oh, guys, anywhere, man, just look up Los Cut It. You can find me on Google, YouTube, TikTok, all platforms, Instagram, obviously. That's pretty much it, man. I'm hosting classes here. If anyone wants to learn how to cut hair or just get better knowledge, I'll be hosting class here in June. I travel a lot. I do a lot of cool stuff, man. I'm involved with a lot of cool people like these guys. So just look up the name Los Cut It, and I guarantee you'll find me. So it'll be easy. Oh, and don't forget to check out In The Cut podcast as well, man. And you know what? It'll be cool to have you guys on here and tell your story.
That'll be cool. That'll be dope.
Have you guys as guys kind of see how we operate things, maybe get a better understanding and tools and all that. So that'd be pretty cool.
No, that'll be dope. We'll run it. We'll definitely run it.
Let's do it, man, for sure.
Thank you for hopping on, Carlos. All right, boys. We'll see you in the next one too. Shout